They now force men to do one by one. It's a Christian marriage. This marriage is a Christian marriage. You must live with one wife. That is why the case of a side chick will never stop. All these women loitering around, who will marry them? Who will marry them? And in 5 to 10 years coming, government will have no other option than to force women on men. So that is why I am saying you should not compare. Do not do that comparison that your husband cheats, you will cheat. Normally, every man should be living with 3 wives. This week, this woman will sleep with this man, cook for him. This other week, the second one will cook. Do you know that those days, in the time of our great-grandmothers, as I am now, maybe I'm of age, I'm getting older and weak, I will bring my younger sister and give my husband to marry. Do you know that? That is why men are evergreen. Everly green. Men are foundation. That is why in Igbo land, if you have not given birth to a male child, you have not started. Are you telling that is why in marriages, a woman will be menstruating and a man will have to wait for 5 days or thereabout? After menstruation, the woman will go into ovulation, mood swing, unhappiness, not being happy, shawarma time, what's it called? Pizza mood. So many moods before she come out of the mood. She will tell the man she don't want to do sex. Now I'm not interested. But in the time of our father, when you are menstruating, another woman will take over. All of you cannot menstruate at the same time. If this one is, if you are menstruating, you cannot serve your husband food. You can't cook for him. You cannot sleep with him. We worship our men like God. Our men are our God. Do you understand? But they brought Western colonization, took our religion, took our way of life, took our culture, took our tradition, took our everything, collected our marriage, gave us white wedding, gave us so many things that is not benefiting us, and suffering our men in toilets, forcing our men to be doing shokwa in the name of masturbation. And you're telling me that as a woman, that you are still going to be insulting your husband. If after watching my video, you continue pointing fingers at your husband that he's a cheat, you are an evil woman and you are supposed to be ostracized from the land. If after watching this video, you say you must cheat on your husband, that he cheat, you cheat, you should be spat on. You should be ostracized, pursued out of the land. It's a sacrilege for a woman to open her mouth to say that. You don't compare yourself to a man. There's a way to go through. You don't have a go through. The men have it. So you don't compare. There is no room for comparison. The Western colonization has affected us. The Western colonization has killed us. That is why cheating will not stop. Side chick will not stop. It did not stop in the Old Testament. It did not stop in the Bible. And the ones that want to introduce New Testament, did it end in New Testament? The recent pastors we have now, I don't know the New Testament pastors, have they stopped cheating? Have they stopped sleeping with other women? Have they stopped sleeping with choristers and your wives? The New Testament pastors, I'm asking, hypocrisy. We must go back to our old-time religion. The old-time religion, we must go back to our old way of life. We must go back to the way we believe. If not, you see, cheating or no cheating, your husband will cheat. Forget that, you both gave us the cheating language. He cheated on me now. He cheated on me now. We know the truth. I know the truth. You know that you know the truth. They gave us cheating. He's cheating on you. What do you call cheating? Our fathers married many wives and they stayed in love without jealousy. They had concubines without jealousy. Once he can take care of them, they live happily. This time around, your husband will just look at a woman one side and say, why are you looking at a woman who is calling you on the phone? Why are you doing this? Why are you not doing that? Bullshit. Western colonization is our problem and it must change. If not, hey, go and build more coffins. Because if the Western colonization did not change us with all the problems we have faced because of what they have done, if we don't overhaul our reasoning and throw away the Western colonization, embrace our own, take our culture, tradition, if we don't take it, women will be killing their husbands. So we are talking of DNA test. This time around, they will be openly shooting their husbands because the women of today have wickedness, hatred. My fellow men, the only...
Greetings to you. who are listening, this message is concerning the laws of marrying multiple women or wives. The term can be considered polygamy or polygyny. As you rightfully heard, the traditional African woman that was speaking, she did indicate it very clear concerning our tradition, that men indeed marry many wives. This is a truthful saying. It is a rightful saying, because when you look at the way our ancestors had lived, this is what they practice. In the Bible, you see, I can take you to different places where the Israelites did marry multiple women. It was also given as a law. Deuteronomy chapter 21 verse 15. Deuteronomy 21 verse 15 indicates that if a man have two wives, one that he loves and one that he hates, and they have borne him children, if the firstborn comes out of the one that he hates, he deserves the double portion of the inheritance. Yes, if a man had two wives, one that he loves and one that he hates, the one that he hates will be given, if the firstborn came out of the one that he hates, the son that is born will receive double portion. This is the law. This is scriptural. Because some believe that you have wives and they all going to be loved the same way. That's not truth. The truth is, if you have multiple women or wives, one will be loved. You are going to love one more than the other, or hate one more than the other. Just as you have children, there is certainly a child that you will certainly love one than the other. And there's a child that you will hate more or less than the other. You will treat all of them equally, with respect and equity. but there certainly will be one that you love or hate. You will love all, but there will certainly be one that you love more than the other. The point that I'm making is not about who you love and who you hate. What it's saying is that the firstborn of the one that you hate will have the right of inheritance, because the firstborn is the beginning of the strength. You know, one of the things the traditional woman indicated, that if a son isn't born out of that woman, it is an insult to the community. It is an insult to the land. For a woman's purpose in particular, because she has to give birth to a child. Unlike Western culture and Western religion, what she is saying there is completely off. Because you know what Western culture teaches? That a woman should be independent. And have no children, because it will ruin her career. But according to our traditions, because the woman that you heard speak earlier, she is talking about the traditions that our ancestors practice. She is speaking about the tradition that the ancient Israelites, who are our people, do practice in the ancient time and even today. And speaking of that, she did mention Jacob's wives. She did mention, let me clarify, she did mention that when she is old, when a woman is old, she gives the younger to her husband. Do you know that this was a situation with Jacob and his wives? Jacob had 4 wives that was accountable in the record. And when Jacob went to get the wife of desire, which was Rachel, from his father-in-law Laban gave them Leah. He had to work 7 years to obtain the wife he desired. His father-in-law gave them Rachel. Let me clarify. His father-in-law gave them Leah. And now, after he received Leah, after the 7 years, he had to work for another 7 years to receive his younger sister Rachel. Why is that? Because the custom of the Israelite tradition, or the custom of the Hebrew tradition, is that where Jacob went to get his wives, the older had to be married first. The older sister had to be married first. Then the younger sister. I am bringing forth the similarities that you would hear, that you were hearing a while ago. For in the Igbo tradition, the older sister is given first, then the younger sister. Similar tradition. For we are the Hebrew people. As you hear me saying in the past, the tradition and the law is one. And so we must be familiar with that a man could marry multiple wives. This is in the tradition. This is in the law. You can't tell me that it's sin what Jacob did. Before I even go there, you have to show me. This is to the religious people, even those engaged in the religion of Christianity. You have to show me a chapter and verse where a man marrying multiple wives is sin. Show me the chapter and verse to give evidence of that. The fact about it is that there is no chapter and verse that does say that a man marrying multiple wives is sin. There isn't any chapter and verse. That says that. So where did these ideas stem from? Because this is not in our African tradition. Or our ancestors' way of doing things. Where did these terms, where did this idea stem from? And lo and behold, the idea stemmed from the European people the European people brought the religion of Roman Catholic Christianity to us Africans. And they started to taught us their way of doing things. As a result of that, one of the things that they implement on us or force us as an idea is that a man is to marry one wife. This idea has also been incorporated in governmental policy. For remember, the church and the government is one. So now you, as an African who does not know your way of doing things, who does not know your heritage, know your culture, is listening to the government and the religion of those who have enslaved you and oppressed you. You are listening to them for them to explain to you that a man is to marry one wife. When certainly the Bible that they are reading from, or the Bible that they are teaching, that they are so-called teaching, there is nothing in there that says that the act of a man marrying multiple wives is sin. The act is a sin or a crime according to their ideology. What is not found in the Bible. What is found in the Bible? A man marry multiple wives. As you can see, Deuteronomy chapter 21 verse 15 does make mention, if a man takes unto him wives, right? If the firstborn child comes out of the one that he loves less or hates, he deserves to have firstborn of inheritance. So the law, or as I would say, the word of the Creator, divine laws, does show us that we can marry, that a man can marry more than one wives. It's also in different cultures. You go to Asia, men marry multiple wives. You go to India, you have men marrying multiple wives. You go to the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or the kingdom of the Arabians, you see men marrying multiple wives. You go to Africa, you see men marrying multiple wives. Why it is when we go to the Europeans, you don't see men marrying multiple wives. And this is the same European whom you say gave us the Bible that does teaches that a man can marry multiple wives. Well then, obviously, the European ain't teaching the Bible correctly. or they have presented their culture to the world, their religion to the world. That's why they tell you, don't go back to the Old Testament. Stick with the New. Because the New Testament, there's barely scriptures found about polygamy, found about traditional African marriage. But when you go to the Old Testament, you will definitely see African traditional marriage. And I want to say this as I'm speaking, because this is very important. African traditional marriage, which is the biblical marriage, or biblical marriage, which is also referred to as, which also is lawful marriage according to the Creator, is when a man takes a wife who is a virgin and is given to her, and he is permitted to have her based upon the parents' consent. He takes her virginity. Before that, he pays a bride price, takes her virginity. She becomes his wife. Now, this is African traditional arranged marriage, or the marriage that the Israelites or the Hebrews practice. Now, if you are a man and you desire to marry multiple wives, and you have not done these things that I said earlier, you have not done the arranged marriage, do not go and look for multiple women to marry. If you are a man and you are not practicing the traditions and the ways of our ancestors, or practicing the laws that the Creator have established, especially where marriage is concerned, do not go and get multiple women to marry, because you're going to be committing adultery with those women. In the modern term, we call it side chick. We call it side chick. But as the woman rightfully say, that behavior didn't stop in the Old Testament. Because in the Old Testament it was lawful, once you did things the right way. But now you find the pastors is saying we don't have to practice that. The pastors who have been taught the religious life by the Europeans in seminary schools are telling you that we don't have to practice that. But then they will go and sleep around with women who is not their wife in the first place. So I'm saying to you that if you are considering practicing polygamy or marrying multiple wives, make sure that you are practicalizing divine laws or the traditional biblical marriage.